Because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
You thought the game was over, but it's only just begun.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to Late Night Massacre. No one is safe. I want to go over some news on Friday the 13th. A couple things I definitely want to go over. Number one, I want to go over the Friday the 13th 2009 film that I just watched a few nights ago, and just how underrated this film is. And obviously not a perfect film, but I gotta say it was really great to just rewatch it and kind of see like what we can possibly get in that Crystal Lake show, which we'll get into later. For a next year release on Peacock, which I'm very excited for. But I want to go over this film. I mean, not in the entirety of it, but just most of it in general, just and what I've seen from it and what I really liked from it. I was just a really big fan of. And I think obviously rebooting the franchise, and really you had 3 movies into one film in this, because you went from a Jason that was, you kind of saw the beginning of the film, which was a very which was a very short part with Pamela getting her, Jason's mother getting her head cut off by a camp counselor. Pamela kind of going on her, rampage of, blaming the counselors for not watching her son that apparently died. Obviously, but from some of the deleted scenes you've seen, Jason looking on and seeing his mother being beheaded and stuff, and then kind of going forward, I mean, years later, and a bunch of kids going to the woods, a bunch of and they're older, young people, in their 20s, 30s, whatever, looking for weed plants, and it's on Camp Crystal Lake, and then they get there, and then they camp out, and then they just start getting slaughtered one by one, except one of the girls that he kidnapped and keeps in his cave under the camp. Now, Jason is interesting because we saw we went through like 3 movies in one with this one film. Okay, we saw him as a kid. We saw him with the sandbag Jason look from part 2. And then we went and, throughout this movie, finding the mask after killing that redneck, licking porn magazines and, just having nothing to do with himself and just smoking weed all day, pretty much, kind of seeing him. And when he killed him, he found the mask in the attic. And then he finally put that on, man. And I got to say, he looked absolutely fantastic in this film. When it came to Jason Voorhees in this film, it was fantastic. And even not even that, but even Derek Mears, that played Jason Voorhees, he was perfect for the role. As much as I really want Kane Hodder all these years to be in that film, I wanted him to be in, Freddy vs. Jason. I wanted, and hopefully maybe he could fill in for a role in the new the Crystal Lake show next year, because I really want Kane Hodder back for a long time, and it just seems like they're just not giving him the parts. And obviously we're starting to rebuild this thing again going to next year, so it should be really interesting. So I think really the only 2 characters you really have now are like Jenna and Clay Miller. Both of those characters I really did like in the show, in this movie a lot. You had Trent Sutton, which he brings a whole bunch of his friends. He's a real dick. He's a real control freak. It's his father's like rich cabin on Crystal Lake, and he brings all his friends there to drink and chill out and do all this stuff. And then really, just things just start going down. There's really no plot. I mean, Jason builds like this underground camp, or these underground tunnels where he's keeping the sister of Clay that Clay's looking for all these years, you know what I mean? Which are not all these years, but a little bit of time has passed by, and still looking for the cops, were looking for a bunch of bodies, couldn't find any, hence why Jason had, this cave under the woods, like a big base, pretty much. This is why they couldn't find any bodies. And Jason is so good in this film. He reminds me of like a survivalist. Like, he reminds me of Rambo. He's killing people with, you know, bow and arrows, throwing axes across, you know, a good amount of space. I mean, I really liked a lot of the kills in this film a lot, and obviously with the machete, it's just one of the best. You got really a mixture of a lot of, you know, physical kills with his hands to a lot of different props, which I liked a lot in this film. But you know, you had the ending, you know, where, you know, Jason gets his head, you know, kind of chopped up a little bit in a, you know, like a meat grinder, but not really totally got chopped up, just a little bit on the top of his head. You know, they wrap him up, they put chains on him, they throw him in the river, and then Clay and his sister are sitting on the edge of the dock after putting him in the water. They drop his mask in the water. His mother's locket gets dropped in the water, and then he comes back up, and the screen goes to black when he attacks his sister coming off the dock. And that was really it. I mean, that was really the whole film. I mean, there's a lot more to it. Obviously, you have the sex scenes. I mean, you have the normal stuff that you see in Friday the 13th films, and that's what makes it so great. And I like even this film because it's so gritty. And obviously, from some of the writers from Texas Chainsaw Massacre from the sequels did this film. So really, this was like the Texas Chainsaw sequel from the early 2000s, but they really put like a Friday the 13th skin on it, and I actually really liked it. I liked that. It looked real gritty. It wasn't, you know, I mean, it has its jokes, it has its stupid moments, but at the end of the day, who are you, you know, really rooting for? You're rooting for Jason Voorhees in this film, and that's what, you know, that's what we're paying to see. That's what we want to see. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited about, you know, just the future of this franchise and really where it's going. I think there's a lot they could pick up off of, especially even this movie, which really I got my blood started flowing a lot even after watching this. And I liked how I like, you know, it's nice to see like that, you know, that big white shark that just doesn't go down and just keeps coming after you, especially this Jason Voorhees in this movie in 2009, and he was, you know, he sprinted after you, like he ran in this film, which I really did like. And you know, he has traps all over the camp and stuff. Like it's fantastic the way how they portrayed him in the film. And I don't mind that they humanize him a little bit, because his weak spot is his mother at the end of the day, and I think we all know this. And then really going into like the, you know, even next year, Camp Crystal Lake is going to the Crystal Lake show is going to be amazing. Now it's going to be in multiple seasons. We kind of heard of this a million times, and I kind of wanted to go over a little bit more of it, because I mean, we ended up getting some information. We're not going to get everything, you know, in the next few months, or at least at the end of this year. Hopefully we get some more information on this new show, which I'm really excited for. I think it was slated for a 2023 release, but now it is going to be in 2024, which is pretty cool. The Crystal Lake show, obviously, you have Brian Fuller, you know, that was the creator of Hannibal, really good show. The studio taking over, A24 Studios, which A24 is a great studio. I mean, they really recreate really good stories, really good storytelling, so that's good. I mean, Victor Miller is going to be one of the producers on here. A couple of ex-Friday the 13th writers that used to write for the old movies are going to be involved in some episodes. So it's a pre-requel sequel from what it was expected of it. Okay, so we're going to go through like 5 or 10 years before the first film, where we're going to see Pam Voorhees as the cook at the camp, and obviously, you know, his son getting bullied around, and then, you know, maybe just, you know, him drowning in the water, and then kind of see how Pamela Voorhees just got crazy after her son's death and blaming the counselors for all these years, and then her ended up quitting because she probably just went out of her mind, and then obviously came back to the camp and said, I got to do something about this and get revenge for my son. You know what I mean? So there's a lot. I mean, I think there's gonna be time jumps. It's not gonna be like the first season's gonna be about like Jason when he's young the whole entire time. I think there will be time jumps in this, and they have talked about, Brian Fuller has talked about some time jumps, a lot of kills, and you know, I'm excited to see like what Jason's gonna look like, especially now today. You know, the kills in general, like, and then look, I mean, as much as we want on it as a film. Unfortunately, they can't make a film right now. Now, the lawsuit is done with between Sean Cunningham and Victor Miller. The problem right now is that they can't get the outside rights yet. There's problems with the outside rights, like in Europe and stuff like that. So the reason why that's not cleared up is for this reason of they can't put a movie out globally as of right now. So that's why this is on Peacock. I say within another year. I mean, it should get cleared up, and then, you know, finally they can put out films, put out a rebuilt film. Another company could take that over. So we'll see what happens. But there's a lot of content. There'll be a lot of content for, you know, when you get a series like this. It's, you know, if they're an hour an episode, I mean, you get hours and hours of content of multiple seasons, and they've already talked about. Brian Fuller's already talked about multiple seasons with this. I don't think he's going to copycat everything, but there'll be a similar approach to how the films were, but it's going to be more modernized. And I think that's what's really important. You know, and the kills and how Jason's going to look, and, you know, so it's not really a bad thing at all. I think this is going to be a successful show. I think there's going to be a lot of viewers. I think we have a really good director here. I think the studio is really perfect for it. And we just have to give it more time. We don't know really the rest of who's going to be in this film. We don't really know any more information about just the first season of what the first season is going to be about, somewhat. But we're obviously, you know, the only thing we really know of right now is we're going to see Pamela Voorhees. We're probably going to see her on camp. We're probably going to see all of that. You know, Jason drowning, and then really the rampage that Pamela has on the rest of, obviously the rest of that camp going forward, you know, for her son's death, and then, you know, Jason coming back. So I feel like there will be time jumps. We'll jump from, you know, him getting his mask. Well, we will jump forward in this season. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. I have no idea. I could probably guess it could be a 10-episode series. Maybe it's more. Maybe they want to put a little bit more on the table and really drag this thing out, you know, in longer episodes with, you know, and I wouldn't mind that at all. Like, I don't think it's gonna be that long, but I feel like, you know, there's enough filler there to do a lot with, and they have enough content to do it. So if you're worried about what they can use in this, they can use anything. Victor Miller has said that they can use the name, they can use Crystal Lake, they can use Jason, they can use all the names, everything. They can use Jason's mask. They don't have to call Jason something else. They can use anything for this, since the allegations or the, you know, the legal battle is pretty much done within the United States. It is cleared up, finished. So anything could be used, prop wise, doesn't matter what it is. Any name associated with the Friday the 13th franchise can be used. So it's really too early right now. Until we get more news going down the road later, I will definitely report that. But this is a 24 release, sorry, and probably in October, probably on Friday the 13th. I wouldn't doubt it somewhat next year, which would be really cool. Not even Halloween. I would just say on a Friday. I would definitely release this on Friday the 13th, and that's what they're probably going to do. So like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously watching Friday the 13th, 2009 really got my blood flowing for like more Jason Voorhees content. It's unfortunate the video game is going to be out of the works, you know, at the end of next year, but, you know, you have until then to play that as well. But when it comes to this show that's coming out, and obviously not a movie, so you're gonna get hours and hours of content, and until we get more, you know, they've asked Brian Fuller so many questions, and obviously he can't, you know, he's got a lot of homework to do. I mean, I don't know how much is written. There's no news. There has been nothing besides that interview we had where they were asking questions about, you know, what could happen in this series, where is it going to take place, you know, obviously not where it's going to take place, but, you know, who are the starting characters, you know, how many years before the first Friday the 13th, you know, what's going to happen here. So there's really a lot on the table, and there's a lot of exploring and swimming around that they could do, and I think he's going to do a good job. There's, like I said, there's a lot of Friday the 13th writers. Victor Miller's a big producer on this thing, so you know what I mean? There's a lot of good ideas. You know, you already have a good director and a good studio behind it, and now it's some of the help from some of these people that have produced and written some of the originals, it's definitely gonna help this show, and can't wait to hear the music. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, we haven't heard much of anything besides that interview, but I'm pretty pumped about it. I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be good. And like I said, when I hear more, we'll definitely get back into it. So other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Are you excited about Crystal Lake? Jason Voorhees returning next year. What are you expecting from the show? Do you think it's going to be good or bad? Let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you guys on the next one. You guys have a great day. Stay running and be safe. Peace out.